6 minutes with how big of a window?
30, I heard.
On each side.
30 seconds on each side.
Yeah. So a minute. Does everyone also remember verbal and oral sources, what those are?
Yeah.
So I'll be passing around Gopal. Smell it. It smells good. I'm ready to go. Yeah, pass it. Give it a whiff. It's used for cleansing.
Ooh. Ready?
That is an Aztec death whistle. And just as that whistle guided the soul through the underworld, the Aztecs used other sacred tools to guide the soul through the divine. In this speech, I will be referring to psychedelics as entheogens, which means generating the divine from within. Entheogens are intentionally used to assist in healing, transcendence, and deep realizations, typically in a sacred setting with some kind of spiritual guide. Ritual use of entheogens has a long history in anthropology, having been recorded worldwide from the ancient Greeks' use of kikeon, brew, to the nomadic Indo-European tribe people's use of Amanita muscaria, to the South African Kosha people's use of the plant Silene capensis, and most central to our focus today, the ancient and modern peoples of Mesoamerica and their use of a variety of entheogens. For context, Mesoamerica is a cultural region defined by shared traditions among cultures spanning modern-day Mexico to Costa Rica. Entheogens have been used across the great Mesoamerican civilizations, from the mother culture, the Olmec, and then to the Zapotec, and then to the Maya, to the Aztec, and today being preserved by the Mazatec groups following colonialization. We will go over 3 entheogens today for reference. First, we have the cactus peyote, which is still consumed by northern Mexican groups today, like the Huirarica, who refer to the sacrament as the body of the blue deer, which they hunt, sometimes for hundreds of miles across the desert, in search of wisdom and to bring rain. This ritual also has ties to their creation story and is fascinatingly legal under US and Mexican frameworks for indigenous use. Second, Olo Ryoki, morning glory seeds, were used in the Aztec Empire as an oracle for priests and nobles to find lost objects, identify criminals, and gain political insight. Thirdly, Teonan Actual, flesh of the gods, psilocybin mushrooms, were used by nearly all Mesoamerican cultures. The Aztecs, again, for example, used them for diagnostic physical healing, where illness was often seen as spiritual misalignment. Healers ingested the mushroom to see the root of an illness and would extract it through ritual cleansing methods. Mesoamerican cultures performed ceremonies alongside these entheogens to deepen their effects. For example, the Mazatecs had velelas, which were all-night vigils, often preceded by strict fasting and celibacy. Copal would be burned to cleanse the air, while a rhythmic heartbeat like drum and chanting acted as an anchor for those going deep into internal landscapes. Scholars tend to agree that the Aztec death whistle, found in the hands of a sacrificed man in the temple dedicated to the wind god, Ehecatl, was used to mimic the sharp winds the soul faces in the underworld. I'm not going to roll again. However, I further suspect that if entheogens were used in these death rituals, it was to intentionally stimulate the dying experience. The piercing winds would act as a catalyst, an auditory tool, while one would navigate the underworld-like labyrinth of the mind to effectively shatter the ego and facilitate spiritual rebirth. These ceremonies, sacraments, and rituals were often seen as barbaric behavior to be suppressed by the colonizers, but traditions survived in small pockets across Mesoamerica. Luckily, one Mazatec woman, Maria Sabina, described as a curandera y sabia, meaning healer and wise woman, continued the practices into the modern era. She lived in the remote mountains of Huautla de Jimenez in Oaxaca, Mexico. and referred to the psilocybin mushrooms as little saints, reflecting how indigenous practices often merged with Christianity. In 1955, an American banker and amateur mycologist, Gordon Wasson, traveled to her village to participate in the sacred Veledas. His work was funded by the CIA through a front organization called the Gesteiger Fund without his knowledge. While Lawson sought spiritual insight from the saints, the US government was interested in extracting psilocybe from the mushroom to see if they could weaponize it as a truth serum. The CIA later went on to develop MK Ultra, while Lawson wrote a 1957 Life magazine article about the mushrooms, both of which contributed to the counterculture and anti-war movement years later. Wasson's article triggered a psychedelic pilgrimage of Westerners flooding Maria's town. To the villagers' dismay, with the Westerners came commercialization, military surveillance, and desecration of the sacred. Maria was blamed, her home was burned, and she was banished from her home from the village for a number of years. Yet, her perspective on the mushrooms remained complex, as recorded in Alvarado Estrada's 1981 book, Maria Sabina, Her Life and Chance. She reflected that while she did not regret sharing the little saints with the world, she did regret the direction that Westerners took the medicine, saying, before Wasson, the little saints were never taken for diversion, only to cure. Entheogens were part of a greater set of traditions that brought spiritual meaning. Maria was not a drug dealer. She was a healer of souls who carried on the torch of the sacraments and traditions through time. For the ancient and modern peoples of Mesoamerica, these sacraments are not drugs to escape from reality or get high. They are medicinal tools for healing and bridges to the realm of the gods. If the West is to truly accept the gift Maria offered, we must stop seeing these medicines as illicit substances or party drugs and start seeing them as Earth's oldest tools for healing and wisdom.
No encore on the death.
What's up?
No encore on the death.